Yo.
You are now listening to the smoking section.
Oh yeah.
Where you'll find hot topics.
And fire conversations.
Keep it locked.
You hear me?
Well, yeah. Well, for everybody who's going to be watching live and listening, this is the wonderful Kayla Jean Oxendine. Yeah, thank you for coming through. Yeah, really thank you for coming through, because, like, you know, we were saying right now, too, know me since, like, I was in middle school. I think 8th grade. I was in 8th grade when you started hanging out with Emma.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's cool to finally have a chance to do something like this, too, after all those years. So thank you.
I'm so happy to be here. You just really don't know. I'm just so happy, man. And I'm gonna say this for your listeners, to see you grow up from 8th grade and now into manhood, and to see, you know, there's all the stuff that we go through. First of all, in Robeson County. Second of all, at Purnell Swed. Third of all, you know, just being around here. And all the stuff that we've been through in life and that we've accomplished in life. And so I want to start this off by just saying how happy I am to see your growth as a man. So
Thank you.
Thanks for being a part of my life.
Thank you. And I am thankful, because you're always one of the good friends, I feel, you know what I mean, that my sister ever had, you know, like solid friends. So I do appreciate that. Like, for real. Thank you.
We're so supportive.
Thank you. That means, I don't know. It's hard, especially because when you think of, you know, coming up from, Purnell, like, there's a lot of, when people ask me, like, oh, do you know anybody who's passed away? It's like, I know actually quite a few, bro. Like, my age.
Many.
Type shit. Like, wow. Like, yeah. So to have you guys still around, and, you know, we're all supporting each other and trying to do all these different things is cool. It's cool. So for people who may not know, please tell them some of the stuff that you be into and what you do here on a day-to-day.
Okay. So my name is Kayla Jean. And I have a podcast called The Essentials with Charlotte and Kayla Jean, where we talk about what dating's really like, what's how women can be here, be out in the world dating, and also take care of themselves in the process, and like learning to respect their own boundaries, learning to just navigate the dating world. So that's one part of what I do. The other part is I'm a therapist. I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor, and I'm also for those who are into it, I'm also a spiritual healer. I do a lot of energetic healing for people, and I also do like acting and film and stuff like that. So I've just got done doing the Lost Colony this summer. The Lost Colony is in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and it is the longest running symphonic outdoor drama in U.S. history.
Oh.
There's only been 2 times that they have not ran this show. That was during the Great Depression and the pandemic. So only 2 years that they didn't run the show, and that's when catastrophe hits. And what that was about was the first contact of settlers meeting Native Americans. And this was the first year that they actually required it to be Native Americans, authentic Native Americans playing the Native roles.
That's cool.
So that was a lot. It was interesting. It was a lot. You know, progress hurts, change hurts. So had to deal with a lot of that. So I guess I'm also a social justice advocate, if we're going to put it out there like that. Yeah, and so I've done several film things. I've done like a commercial shoot for McDonald's, a lot of different behind the scenes work in the film industry in Charlotte and Atlanta. Strike at the Wind here, obviously, which is another outdoor drama for that's specifically related to our tribe. And yeah. So that's kind of I'm a therapist. I work for an insurance company. I'm an entrepreneur in the making. So I kind of got all kinds of things, but my
Yeah.
main focus is spirituality, to be honest.
Well, that was another too. Like for a while, I just kept watching you do so much different stuff, and I was like, man, she's active out here. She's out here, man. Like, let's fucking go. So it was like there was times when it was like I was getting lists together, and it was like it's just not right. Like there's some people whose interviews, like even now, I still want to do, but it's like the timing's not right. There's something they're working on it, and let it flourish a little bit. But I do want to start. I do want to kind of dial it back a little bit. And where did it start? Because I remember you as a girl who sang and she did all the plays. Like our local plays, we would pack fucking amphitheaters full of people in there, and these were like big things. They were big. So where did that start for you? Like where was it born at?
There was this one play in 7th grade at Pembroke Middle. That, from what I can remember, that was the first play I ever did. Now, if we want to get real deep with it, my mama told me I was conceived at Strike at the Wind.
Wow.
So I think it was put into my blood then. But if I had to go by my own experience, in 7th grade, there was a Christmas play that we did. And I was an evergreen tree. And I just remember having to like stick my branches out and say, I'm a strong tree. And in my English class, I remember having an assignment and we said, what are we going to, do in life? And I made it abundantly clear in 7th grade that I was going to be an actress when I grew up.
Wow.
And from there, everyone just kind of knew that, Kayla is in acting. So much so that like my senior, like, what singular superlatives are, like where you get the names. I was drama queen. Now, I was no drama. I was not the girl who was out here doing it, but it was because I was acting all the time. And my classmates decided that was the right one. So
no, you were never causing no drama, dude. You're out of all those kids at that school. No way.
Like, if anything, I'm like solving drama all over the place, So yeah, that's where it got started, 7th grade. And then in 11th grade was the first time I did Strike at the Wind. And I was a citizen, and I was poly, and I was Rhoda's understudy. My first year.
Explain Strike at the Wind for people who may not understand. Explain Strike.
Right. So Strike at the Wind is an outdoor drama that is specifically related to our Putch's and mine hometown hero. Or what do we call you here?
I don't know. It was between Ronald, Putch, and
Okay, so Putch is good. Okay, so where Putch and I are from, we have a hometown hero called Henry Berry Lowry. And it's basically timed during the Civil War, and the Indian lost the right to vote, and there was a lot of like local politic corruption and things like that. And it's basically like a Robin Hood story of, kind of steal from the rich and give to the poor, because what were the rich doing? They were using legal reasons to steal from us. So we just kind of started taking stuff back, and then it's become a legend in our hometown. So I got one of the principal roles, and then I became the female lead character, Rhoda's understudy. And I always wanted to play Rhoda, and I never got to. I never got to play Rhoda, but I was the leader, which was, for some reason, I keep getting picked, being picked at roles that are like Native American spirit guides type. And I'm like, if that's not me, I don't know. So I get to go in these places and just be who I am naturally. And, and that's the beauty of it, is I keep getting roles that I'm already living my life in doing. So it's real cool, actually.
Yeah, I was wanting to ask too, like, how do you prepare? Like, how do you even, because I know for dancing, you practice your step and you just do it over and over and over again. But for acting, you're not only remembering lines, but there's like certain, I don't even know, like the gestures of your body and these afflictions of the words itself. Like, you know what I mean? Like the tones. So, like, you got to get into it,
Right.
So that's cool. That's cool.
Really, it depends. So, like when I was Polly, Polly has a moment where her soon-to-be husband actually dies. So when I was prepared, I would have to prepare for that moment every night. And I would have to trigger some type of feeling that would actually make me want to cry or make me upset or frustrated. And so that way, when I had to scream, it was like a blood-curdling scream. It was intense. And people knew that I was just devastated. I was traumatized at that point. To be more of like the spirit guide type deal, my preparation's more energetic beforehand. So when I was doing the Lost Colony with Strike at the Wind, it actually wasn't hard to prepare at all, because it was more learning the lines. You've got several long paragraph monologues that you need to learn. Once I had those lines down, I was able to just speak eloquently and beautifully, and I was just able to do it. It was just fine. All I had to do was stand there on a stump and speak. Well, with the Lost Colony, this character was much more involved. And so I would stand, so imagine our boxes here. Imagine that those are two doors that open from the center, right?
Okay.
So the other Native cast, they had a powwow going on, and they were out there dancing and jamming, and like 3/4 of the way through, bam, these doors open up, and then there I am, the spirit guide, to tell the whole story, right? And God, it was my shining moment, Butch. It was like that was the moment for me. I was like, I knew I made it, because I had the set of doors opening, and here I am. Like I couldn't ask for more in life, right? So to prepare for that, I would stand behind those doors, and I would allow my throat chakra to be already healed. I would allow my performance to be open and vulnerable, because I really did have to elicit emotions from the audience too. And then as an empath, I can actually feel the emotions of the audience too. So I would actually pull on that as well and say, I would pull like positive energy or basically positive energy from them, and say, I allow this performance to be miraculous and magnificent. And so it was getting my mind and my body right to step into that, to trigger those feelings. It's all about triggering the emotions, really.
That's, yeah, because I know, I won't say I know the feeling, but there's a similar experience, like with battling. Like when I'm out dancing and I'm battling, there's a certain emotion that I can feel off these people standing around me, and it's like, it's like, oh, that's what you like, okay, like,
Right.
so you're kind of going with it, like you go with that same feeling, whatever you're bringing at that moment.
Right. Like, so you bringing this, baby. All right, I got it. I'm gonna match you, and then I'm gonna do it better.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And for people, hometown, Pembroke, North Carolina. You're right,
Mhm.
Scuffletown. We're wild out here.
Scuffletown
Um,
soldiers in the house.
yeah, we're wild out here, okay? And so there was also a lot though, so small city, you're even doing Strike at the Wind, right? Which is our thing. Like that's always a thing. Hey, are you gonna go see Strike at the Wind? Hey, you're gonna go see Strike at the Wind? Like every year it's happening.
Every year, like it's a surprise what is going to
Yeah.
happen.
But it's just like it's our thing to do, It's like
Yeah.
damn near like Lumbee homecoming. And on that, it's like you've also done a lot with Lumbee, which is, Pembroke is the capital of Lumbee country.
Mhm.
Tell people a little bit about that, because I remember, powwows, and that's where it started. I first seen it, so you did a lot. You did a lot.
Yeah. So growing up, my family in particular didn't really have we weren't really in touch with the cultural side of being Native, right? So growing up, I knew about Strike at the Wind. I actually wanted to be in Strike at the Wind, but until I actually became my own person and could drive and do all of that, I wasn't really able to participate in culture. So the minute that I got the chance to, I did. So I immediately got into powwows, started dancing women's traditional, started going to culture classes, all of that. And like I even started placing too. Like I went to Richmond Powwow at like probably my third or fourth contest ever and got third place. So
Mm.
I was, really beginning to dive deep into the culture. And then life began to happen. So I had to start working, or, got involved in cheerleading and extracurriculars and acting and all that. So culture then began to kind of take a back door. Not culture as much as powwows.
Yeah.
Powwows I kind of began to shift out of that as I got more into college. But then once I got into college, being Native was a thing then.
Mm.
Um, for me, I just always was. It wasn't like I was living culture or I was being traditional. I was just being Indian. I was just being Kayla and being around Indians and doing Indian shit, right? So
Hmm.
then when I got in college, being Indian became a thing. And so I started learning more. Like I learned, my own aunt taught the Lumbee history class at the college, and she was actually the director of the American Indian Studies program. I didn't even know this until I was in college,
Mm.
which is it's that weird disconnect that we have, that walking in two worlds that we do.
Yeah.
It, it's how did I not know that my aunt was the director of the American Indian Studies program, right? So then I took her class and I got to learn more about our actual history and our foundations and all of that goes into it. And it kind of college reignited a spark for me. So then I transferred to Catawba College
Mm.
and and somehow did it at just the right time, because when I got to Catawba, their mascot was the Indians. So
Ooh.
they were the Catawba Indians, and I was a cheerleader. So they had a big old totem pole out there on the football field, and they would play that song, da, da, da,
Dun, dun.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the whole time they'd be doing this,
Mm.
the
The tomahawk chop.
tomahawk. Thank you.
Hmm.
And as a cheerleader, I was supposed to be standing there and cheering it on, but I would stop and I would put my hand on my hip and I would like look at the whole crowd in shame,
Yeah.
like what are you doing and why are you doing this and am I offended? Like how do I feel about this, right? So then I became the token Indian at
Mm.
at that school. And at the time I didn't realize it. at the time, I was just, thinking, oh, like they see me, they see my value, they see what I can bring. So they want me to, I had like 5 different jobs at that school. I worked in their admissions and financial aid office. I worked specifically with their transfer students, and they like put me in their brochure and like all kinds of stuff. They wanted to put me everywhere. And so that was my first encounter with like token Indianism. And then as life carried on, I began to understand that the spiritual principles that I actually live by are very similar to what our ancestors believed in living with the flow of nature, for example, that kind of waking up with the sun, going to bed with the sun, and eating off the land, eating with your hands, you just very natural processes. And so I finally was able to find a balance to where I could still just be Indian without Indian being a thing, or my value or self-worth coming from being an Indian, to actually being able to live my life, stand by my principles, participate in my culture. Because as I began to learn from people, I began to learn from people like Kaya and Reggie, and some people at the tribe, some people in the Mr. Earl and the ceremony circles for the seasons that we would do. I was given. Have I ever told you my Indian name?
No.
My Indian name is Hedainya, which means Lady of the Sun.
Oh.
And is that not, now that you know me now, isn't that so fitting?
Yes, it is.
Right?
Yes, it is.
When I got that, I was 16, 17, 18, somewhere around there. And I thought it was beautiful. But like he had to take time he had to ask me questions. He had to get to know me and my personality. And then he had to take time and sit on it, meditate on it, communicate with spirit about what it should be. And it was so perfect, right? So everything, my whole life has been in a flow, in a divine timing type flow. And I never knew. I never knew until now, looking back. And it's native. My native culture has been a part of it, and it's led me along the way, because then eventually I finally got into Strike at the Wind and got involved in our history and the things that make us emotional about our history. And then when the Lost Colony opportunity presented itself, I was like, I have to go. It was almost like I had a mission. I had a mission, and I actually became, it's what I found out is, because this play is on federal land, it every season will be recorded in federal history. So literally, not even knowing it, I made history. I was
cool.
The first ever, this was the first time they've ever had a storyteller. And it's the first time the storyteller's ever been a Native American. And I don't think it's the first time that this role has been a woman, but it's the first time it's ever been a Native American storyteller, a female Native American storyteller. There you go. And so it's the first time we've ever had Native cast and Native roles. And there was a lot of firsts this year, and history being made for real. And it's recorded. It's not only is it in print, but it's also in video. So it's archived now. We're in history. That cast that we took up there, it was a challenging out the ass, but also a rewarding experience. Just thinking about it makes me want to smoke.
Well, yeah, because cool, because I did want to kind of get into a bigger part that I wanted to definitely talk to you about is knowing. So now that we kind of, at least everybody who's going to listen to this for the first time kind of has an understanding of who you are now, what you got going on, right?
Y'all know me real well now.
So, and I do want to talk to you about, like, well, I want these two parts to tie in. Is
Okay.
you are doing work with, spiritual healing and all this, like, mental health and wellness. I see it, right? And you're really advocating for it, and I see that, like, you find people who you can see the disingenuousness of it,
Right.
right? Like there's a sales pitch happening while they're saying all these, like, key phrases, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And also what you're doing and have done around our community, because people who may not know, Pembroke is, like, that area in Robeson County as a whole is usually in the lower parts of, like, safety zones, you know what I'm saying, every year.
Mm-hmm.
So even though, yeah, I had a great childhood, there was definitely a lot of shit going on.
Absolutely. So much trauma here.
Yeah. So how do you see that? Like, well, I guess that's a good way just to even start it off, is, like, how do you see that affecting people coming out of that area? Because there's not a lot of people like you and like myself or other, Josh Oxendine, shout out Josh, Alexis Jones, shout out, they're, and you can say whatever they want, do whatever they want, really, in my eyes, because they're coming from an area that's shit. It's when it comes to people stepping out and becoming actors or activists or fighters or, whatever.
Professionals,
Mhm.
successful professionals, period. I've been wanting to put this on Facebook and I just haven't, but Lumbee crickets is real.
Mm.
It's real, and it ain't even just Lumbees, it's that poverty mentality.
Explain that, lumpy crickets. I've heard that before. I've only heard that, I think, like, once or twice, but explain more.
Yeah. So have you ever heard the phrase crabs in a bucket?
Yes.
So lumbee crickets is just the exact same way.
Mm.
So the rhetoric behind it is, if you were to take crabs and put them all in a bucket, or if you take crickets and put them all in a bucket or in a jar or something, there are going to be those that begin to critically think, and they begin to critically think, and they begin to work their way on how to get out of the bucket. And as
Mhm.
they're getting close to the top, there's another crab or another cricket pulling them down. And so from that, it's so real.
Mhm.
It's people saying, I don't believe in you for this. Or people saying, why would you want to go and do that? Or speaking negativity over my projects, or, having to learn not to talk about them ahead of time, or get excited because people will spew some shit all over it.
Mhm.
And as well as I've seen where it's been ingrained in us it's not only been ingrained in us that home is safe, but I can tell you, going out into the world, there is an inherent safety here
Mhm.
that I didn't realize was there until I left. So outside of Robeson County, or even in the Outer Banks, I'm not considered Indian, right? If I go out into the world, I'm half black, half white, half Hispanic, half white, half Hispanic, half black. People speak Spanish to me, or they believe that I'm everything else but what I am. And so you get asked all kinds of weird, crazy questions. You get called weird, crazy names. Like, I was working at a restaurant one time, and the man, I was living in a real hick town for a little while. And the man, he comes up to the register where I'm training and talks to my manager. And he's like, so how's it going with the Negro?
What?
There's a
The
whole
audacity.
restaurant of people standing beside me, people in line, and he's just like, so how's it going with the Negro?
Jesus
And I had to
Christ.
serve this man and smile and be nice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's situations like that you know you don't deal with that at home.
Yeah.
You don't like being in the Outer Banks around. It's we can talk about anything here, right?
Yes.
We can talk about privilege and all that kind of shit.
Yes.
So not only is Lumbee crickets real and the shit you get from home, but also sticking out in a crowd when you look different than the rest of the crowd, you draw attention. And like, man, the people in Manio were trying to say that the Indians protested and they did a sit in or whatever, and like our girls got like jobs at regular department stores and they were being treated like shit. And so to go into the world where white people live is hard because they're not safe.
Mm.
And
Whoa.
I don't think that they realize that they're not safe because they assume we're not safe. They don't give us the benefit of the doubt of being good people.
Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest challenges I had of leaving home, because I'm back here. I'm back in Roberts County. I went to Charlotte, moved, left my home, everything, uprooted everything, rented a room. The people I lived with were horrible. One of the people that I lived with was a cop.
Mm.
And the cop, talking to his wife, who was my friend, made a joke like, yeah, I'm down here with the colored. I was living in his home and he was comfortable enough doing that when me and his wife just had a conversation about something like that the day before.
Do you think that might be like because I got to be devil's advocate. Maybe it's the people. Maybe it's the people where they're from. Do you think now, and also to a question, like, do you think how do you think and feel that the area people are growing up in is really affecting them? Like, especially once we become adults.
I think the area completely affects them. And so the microaggressions change based on the area. The overall general theme doesn't change. It's just the idiosyncrasies of how they decide to treat you based on these particular actions that they decide this or that. So yes, you're right. It is the specific people and how they were raised and those specific situations. But those specific situations translate from the coast to inland to the mountains. I've seen it all across the board. I've seen it in different states. So it's yes, and I think it's both and. I don't think it's either or. I think it's both and. I think that there is an ingrained, inherent ideology that gets put in from society into our brains, and people react off of that because of lack of exposure. So they don't give me the benefit of the doubt of being a good person until they actually expose themselves to me and get to know me. But they don't feel safe enough to do that because of what they've been taught is true. When they actually get to know me and they see my intelligence, or they listen to me, they listen to 5 sentences come out of my mouth and they've changed their perspective.
Boom. In most states, if you're Native American, you are considered African American.
Exactly.
My man Jordan Locklear, thank you. Always tuning in, my boy. Thank you so
He's
much.
exactly right. I'm never native anywhere I go.
Yeah.
Even in Manio, the cops got called on us, like on one of our people, saying that Mexicans was smoking weed in the parking lot.
No,
In Manio, where there is like cult-like culture around the Lost Colony and the native story and all that, you know.
I've been really because I've been really waiting to get somebody like who knows about native shit, like you know what I mean? Because I'm hoping that it starts to change, but we are seriously invisible. Like when it comes to a lot of things, like even now, MIW is running around, and no one ever talks about that. Like, when's the last time you even seen these fools on a commercial, like, or some ad running or somewhere? Like, I really feel like their shit gets repressed.
But I'm gonna tell you what I think though. So just like there was because I see patterns, especially universal patterns, especially patterns of society. I tend to pick up on patterns before people do, and I think we're about to be riding a native wave. So just like we have had the Black Lives Matter movement and then the Asian hate movement and all of that, the we've got Deb in the Department of Interior now, and so she's bringing more awareness. The awareness is coming, but like as all grassroots movements take time, like it's more prevalent around the state, then it'll become around the other states, and then it'll eventually get around the country. And I'm seeing that because like I just did an audition for Marvel. Disney and Marvel are looking for Southeastern natives. And so, I submitted, right? Like, baby, there's a wave. I'm about to ride it.
Disney, we're fucking here. We're ready. We're waiting on you guys.
Waiting on you, baby. Shout out Disney.
Shout out Disney, real talk, dude. Put that on Squanto, cuz.
Telling
my
you.
God. Wow.
Yeah. So the wave is here, and our people just got to get on it to ride it. The thing is we don't ever know resources. That's it. That's the thing, is resources. Access resources.
So you have a massive resource that you're giving away now, which is the knowledge of people being able to take care of what's going on in here.
Right.
And and up here, like all that. I feel like people nowadays, I don't want to say people because I don't want to generalize, whatever.
Right.
But the people I've came into contact with, especially Pembroke, is small community. They already have this feeling of can't make it out of a small town. I'll never be noticed. Then you have kids like me who grew up like, damn, dude, like no one ever talks about Native Americans. Like in any conversation, we're never there, dude. So you're saying even, the area you live, the people you're around, it's hurting. Like it's hurting you. What is a step for somebody to take so that they can get themselves up and start moving?
There's so much self-help stuff on YouTube that, like, finding some motivational speakers that you resonate with and listening to the advice they give and applying. It's application. There's things that we know to do, there's things that we already know in our brain, ready, willing, know the process, know the steps, ain't got to think about it. All you have to do is act. You can start there.
Who's your go-to motivational speaker?
Matt Kahn and
Kahn.
Teal Swan. So Matt Kahn, he he always gives the most loving perspective and breaks it down to the bare bones. And he has been the single-handed, he's been my guru, basically. He has single-handedly been the person to help me understand myself and the way that I think, and or me experiencing something like emptiness and thinking that it's depression and sadness. But it's like, no, you've healed your trauma. There's not something nagging at you. You're fine. You're okay. But you aren't used to this, so you don't think you're at peace. When in reality, if you look at it on paper, I'm doing amazing. And yet I feel empty. Well, I'm realizing the emptiness is like I am nothingness. I am the void. I am, all that is. I'm a vessel of where energy can flow through and to everyone. Like that's what that is. And I don't have to be sad about it because it's the meanings that we make out of things that we're actually upset about or triggered by. It's not even, always the thing that actually happened. It's not the actual act. It's what we make it mean about ourselves that actually does us in and creates our destructive behavior from there.
Yeah, like I would tell people with breakups, like what makes you think that you're, exempt to such brutality? Sure, they cheated on you. They broke up with you, dude. You're not exempt from it. We all go through it,
And everyone thinks that they don't deserve heartbreak. But heartbreak is our biggest, if we let it be, it's our biggest friend because it takes us from complete disempowerment to complete empowerment. It takes us through the full scale, grief included. The only reason people separate grief and heartbreak is because that person's still alive.
Oh, okay.
But there's really no difference. My ex, I've spent the last year and a half grieving him as if he's been dead because he's no longer in my life and I have to cut all attachments, and it's very hard to do that. And it's like, you have to be dead to me in order for me to move on.
Yeah.
And so no one is exempt from grief at all. We all have all these emotions we have to experience. You're not exempt from anything.
Yeah. And, I couldn't imagine like how my mom and dad was, where they went through what they went through and then to have to see each other consistently, it's like,
Exactly.
Yeah, that sucks.
And on top of that, they weren't allowed to express emotions the way we are now. They didn't necessarily have all the safety nets that we do now. They had to hold emotions more within and suffer internally more. And no wonder we had a hard time sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Hurt people hurt people.
People hurt people. And healed people heal people.
They do. And so your podcast, you have so many projects, but of all the projects, this one is
and I think I'm doing nothing at all.
No. If anything, there's always a couple people I look back and I'm like, damn, like they got busy. And this is no discredit to anybody back home. I love you guys. Everyone who's out there working hard, I love you guys. But
right, my success is not a determinant of the lack of your success because you're comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah, or even, dude, this is just what you wanted to do. These type of things. This is what you feel like you were born for.
My passions.
Yeah, and if your passion is fucking doing, teaching kids algebra or fucking working on a car. Like, that's not to say that you're not successful. As long as you're happy, you're
Right.
happy, you know? And to me, quite frankly, you are successful. You're doing something you love. Like, there's people who are miserable in their jobs, fucking miserable. And
Exactly.
so for you with this project, how are you feeling about it? Like, I know you've sent me some episodes. I've been able to look through them, and you look super happy as you're doing it. You know, how
Yeah.
does it feel? Where are you hoping to see it go?
I would love to see it. My alignment sessions, I feel, are so special. I've been doing these with people now for well over a year, and when I tell you I get excited every time those cards come out and they're aligned in such a perfect way with such a perfect message in such the right time. So when you see that reaction out of me, it's completely genuine. Like, I don't hold anything back. Like the third episode that I just did, I was like sitting there and I was holding myself and I was like, I feel like I'm in church right now. And I cried a little bit on camera and everything. So with that much good energy and alignment and satisfaction and passion, I think it'll skyrocket. Actually, if I'm being honest, I think right now I have 31 followers or subscribers. Um, I think that it will align itself to who it's supposed to, and I'll gain a following from there, and it'll come in an easy and effortless manner. As long as I'm, staying true and authentic and, putting out there good work and good blessings, and it reaps good karma. And then I don't have to work for it. It flows.
Yeah. And even with this, people are like, oh, you do your little podcast. It's like, yeah, okay, Mr. Little. Like, I know you've experienced that, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, dude? My 31 followers is 31 more than I had when I started.
That's
So
it.
that's a dub. You know what I mean? Come
And
on, bro.
I've got views, like I've got like 100 and some views on one of them. So the thing is it's just starting. From here, like just putting it out there, just getting the energy going. I'm 3 in, and like I'm 3 in, and I've already found someone who wants to help me with the marketing side of it, wants to help me with someone else who wants to help me with some other things to deal with it, like all the behind the scenes work. The universe is bringing me the people and the resources that I need to keep me motivated.
There you go.
And someone to help me, send it to people. Like I'm sitting here like copy and pasting it to people in my Facebook, and I'm doing it grassroots, baby, grassroots.
God damn, it's fucking hard out here for a pimp,
It
man. I mean,
is.
trying to run a podcast, people don't understand.
I'm telling you, and you got to be entertaining, but also real. It's a lot to think about as you're doing it, but also enjoying it.
Yeah, like that's why the smoking section.
You have to enjoy it.
Smoking section, blaze it, have a drink, and let's just chill. And it'll, for myself, like I don't want to be Joe Rogan. I don't want to be, because people are like, oh, what are you talking about? Like, oh, whatever. Oh,
Right.
I'm Joe Rogan. Like, nah, I'm not like Joe Rogan. I'm just literally talking, dude.
Yeah.
Smoke a J, drink, let's loosen up. It's not that serious. And even if it had 1,000,000 followers and all the shit, it's not that serious, bro. We're just here talking. I don't even know what I'm saying.
It's just a conversation.
Yeah. Half the time I'm so fried, I don't even know where I'm sitting at. Like, dude, what's
Right? Hey,
but it makes me happy. It makes me happy, and I'm glad to see that. This culmination of all these things have like led to this point, and it's extremely fitting. It fits your personality type that I've known since the heydays. And it's tight to see another Lumbee coming up. I'm fucking down for my Lumbees, man. Like, I say this publicly all the time. I've given up supporting other groups. I've given up supporting all these fucking BLM, ALM, Blue Lives Matter. All of them matter. I don't give a fuck no more about none of that. I support your movement and I hear you in your struggle, absolutely. But my people also have a struggle too, and I just don't see anybody helping us. Like Lumpies fight amongst ourselves enough, let alone all of us as a group, the whole wagon. And
Yeah.
it's so for me, when it comes to Native American and all that, Lumpy to the fucking core, dude, and it makes me happy to see you doing what you're doing, like for real, for real.
Well, so 2 things on what you said. First thing, it's weird for me, but I also really appreciate you saying that, like, I'm on the come up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't like even think like that. Like, I'm just your normal average person doing normal average everyday shit. So to say and think and have the conversation like, oh, you're on the come up, which is completely true and correct. Like, it's like, who, me? I'm on the come up? Like, I'm just here for the strike at the wind, Like, I'm here, UNCP theater, whatever, community shit. But, like, no, like, you're seeing it today. Like, I'm claiming it. Like, shit's about to go down in my life. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I don't know the path. All I know is I'm ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. I got me intact. I got my emotions intact. I've had 50 and 70-year-old white men look at me and tell me thank you for fussing them out and telling them about their privilege because I can articulate that well. That is something to be proud of. And I get to put that out there to the world, show people that it's possible to be able to stand firm, and also be a kind person. I'm going to tell you off, but you're going to know I love you, though.
Exactly.
Like, you're going to feel my love as I talk to you about how you're fucking up right now. And I'm just real with it. And it's this real, true, raw authenticity is what we got to pick up.
Yeah, since high school, and you were saying it even before, like 5 jobs during college. You've always been busy. And on the come up is really an understatement. Like when you have the discipline that's been exuberated over years, you know what I mean? And when just the drive, the curiosity for it, like what can it do? A million people are going to look at that Marvel goddamn application and say, it'll never be me. Right. And then there's people like yourself, myself, putting with dance auditions and this shit. We say, why not me? Why not me? Like, why not me? Like, I can do that too, bro. Like, so to see you going for it, it makes me it makes me so excited. It makes me so excited. So tell people a little bit more about your podcast too. Like, what it's about. Like, what does an episode entail?
Okay. So before I answer that, you want to know something funny that I just realized?
What's that?
It was Adrian posted it on Facebook to, I don't know, either Jolene or Jossie. And whatever that Disney thing that she posted on Facebook, that's what I did. And then all of a sudden, Marvel emails me back. And I've got an email that says, we want you to audition. Wow. And I'm just like,
wow.
Even if I don't get it, I now forever have an email from Marvel that says, we want you. And that's as far as it's got to go. The rest, it don't matter. We want you. That's all that matters to me. So, shout outs to Adrian for posting, to listening to following her impulses, listening to her inner guidance, posting it on Facebook. I just happened to see it on Facebook. That's synchronicity. That's how the universe works.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, me making those connections just like that is kind of what an episode is like. So the podcast is actually called The Essentials with Charlotte and Kayla Jean. And so another friend of mine from college is my co-host. And her name's Charlotte Cassidy. And so we have several episodes on there that, we talk about, gosh, I've given a lot of like crazy dating stories that I've experienced. I typically do some type of some type of energy clearing of some sort. The cards that I do, I use this healing mantra deck that Matt Kahn made.
Okay.
And these the affirmations on these cards are actually like, think about it like, how you have to code in computers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So energetically, there are phrases that are actually downloads, like you would have it in a code on in a computer for a certain function to happen, a certain awareness to open up, a certain energy cord to dissolve, or something to that effect. But it actually like changes you. It clears cellular memory, it clears trauma at a cellular level, things like that. So as you say the phrases, you're actually receiving healing, and you can actually feel it. It's very experiential, like you experience it. So that's how it's real, and it's not like the nonsense. I'm not just making it up. This is actually happening in real time, and I can always ask a question and pull out a couple cards if you want to.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So what you want some energy for? What kind of question would you have? Like, like I've done it for my job before, right? I'm like, what energies do we need to support us in getting our enrollment numbers?
Okay.
In meeting our goals and getting our providers, what energies do we need? And, I do those alignment sessions for me and my coworkers. Or like, what energies do I need to make my podcast successful, or, whatever. So
Let's do one on the podcast. Let's do one for the podcast. We'll do one for the podcast.
Okay.
So this is exciting. Let's go, people.
I know, I'm so excited. All right. So what energies does Putch need in order to make sure his podcast is successful? Oh, I'm so excited, Putch.
I'll write this down, matter of fact.
Yes, you should write these phrases down, and you should say them. You should say them at least 5 times. And I say that in order to represent fifth dimensional unity consciousness.
Ooh.
It's just symbolism, symbolism and synchronicities. Because that's where the world's moving to. Like, the whole world's about to have a spiritual awakening. The North Node just moved within the last week or two, and everyone's about to go through it. There's about to be a whole lot of trauma being cleared. So,
I'm excited.
You saw it here first. You should go back at 5838 and record what I just said.
I am.
And then watch it happen. Like, it's not like I predicted it. It's it's about to be common knowledge. It is common knowledge, and if you follow astrology at all, but everybody's about to wake up. Like, we're really like, It's going down. That's just how I feel. Like, okay, what energy does Putch need in order to? Oh no, that is definitely your card. What energies does Putch need in order to make his podcast successful? Well, 3 just flew. Let me go grab them real quick. But so far, we've got amplifying abundance, illuminating the truth, honoring adversity.
Ooh. Honoring adversity.
These are great energies. So there's 6 right there. I think that's great. I think that's a good amount. And there's 1 on the bottom of the deck, which is the overall energy of the read. So, okay. So the first card that you got is discovering happiness.
Discovering happiness.
And it's actually kind of perfect because it says the mantra is, I allow myself to be content exactly as I am.
Oof.
Right? So you literally just talked about how you wanted, like, we're here just talking. We're here just talking. There ain't nothing else going on besides talking. We're just talking. And this is the name of us just talking. And so that's exactly what you're doing, is you're allowing this for yourself and for your audience. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
So we need to say that 5 times. And you're going to feel it in your body. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. And also, audience, feel free to say it as well. It's going to fit in your lives too, most likely. You're all here for a reason.
I allow myself to be content exactly as I am.
Mm-hmm. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. You feel it? Right? Like,
yeah.
It's real. It's
like
real.
I wrote it down.
And you know what? And writing it is also another level of putting it into your cellular memory as well. So there's a whole nother healing just because you wrote it. So with you allowing everyone to be content exactly as they are, people really appreciate that. And so you allow this exchange of appreciation between people. And that's the next card, of allowing appreciation.
Allowing appreciation.
And it's really actually kind of perfect too. The value of my life increases each time I appreciate everything in it.
Ooh, the value of my life increases. And I appreciate everything in it.
I appreciate everything in it. Like, I just felt that in my whole entire mid-back.
Oh my God. And I've like said it at least 7 times since I've heard it. Oh, the value of my life increases when I appreciate everything in it.
Each time I appreciate everything in it. The value of my life increases each time I appreciate everything in it. The value of my life increases each time I appreciate everything in it. The value of my life increases each time I appreciate everything in it. And so, like, even if we like break that down for a second, like the value of my life increases. So we're talking about how to increase the podcast, right? That's the whole purpose of this, right? And this is life. We're just talking. We're sitting here being content exactly as we are, just talking. And by just talking, we are setting the intent by every word that comes across this podcast be a catalyst of abundance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's with every word spoken, the value of this podcast increases.
Yes, it does.
And you get to appreciate everything in it, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful,
Yeah.
all of it. We get to, we have not have to, you don't have to do anything, but you must appreciate everything in order to even begin to grasp life. Like you have to find that gift within the pain that you're experiencing, because there's always a gift. But you have to literally ask, okay, God, okay, universe, okay, whoever, what's the gift? You ain't even got to address it to anybody. Just say out loud, what's the gift? And it will unfold every time. So appreciate every experience. With every conversation, your podcast is appreciating, not just allowing appreciation, not just between one another, not just emotional appreciation, but increase appreciation.
I like that. I can
I've
fuck with
never
that.
thought about that card like that. With every conversation, your podcast appreciates. That's mind-blowing to me. Because why? We get to express our free will.
Oof.
We're coming from an authentic place. And the mantra, my choices determine how brightly I shine.
Oh, my choices determine how brightly I shine. My choices determine how brightly I shine.
My choices determine how brightly I shine. My choices determine how brightly I shine. My choices determine how brightly I shine.
I've never done any kind of card reading before like this, so this is cool.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is cool.
And so, like, I think that is going to speak to you get to choose the value of the content you bring here. Because although we're just talking, you have control over what you bring to the table. And what you bring to the table will be a direct reflection. So honor adversity.
Honor adversity.
I look down and it's right there. So in the choices that you make, those choices will determine how brightly you shine. As you make these choices, make sure you honor adversity. The mantra for this is: a fire reveals a path of renewed direction once the burning is complete.
Oof. New direction after burning is complete.
A fire reveals a path of renewed direction once the burning is complete. A fire reveals a path of renewed direction once the burning is complete. A fire reveals a path of renewed direction once the burning is complete. A fire reveals a path of renewed direction once the burning is complete. Ooh, like that even like warmed me up in a sense. Like my hands are really cold, but my neck right now is really warm. But it's in bringing awareness and honoring the adversity that people go through and what they experience, and respecting that pain. It creates such a safe space that there's no way success isn't imminent.
Mm.
There's no way.
Imminent. That's the word, imminent. Oof. And I will say this, and I think you can attest to it too, is that coming out of Purnell Sweat High School alive is already a huge adversary in completion for a lot of people.
Yes.
And so we're no stranger to what adversary, adversity is really out there in the world. Mm-hmm.
And that speaks to being able to honor our own adversity as well.
Mm-hmm.
Honoring ourselves, appreciating ourselves for what we have actually endured, that we normalized for years. Like this is normal. Like violence is normal. Like, people beating people is normal. Drugs is normal. Like, I remember in 6th grade, there was one girl who brought speed to school and was selling it. Yellow Jackets, and selling it to students, and that was normal. I thought nothing of it because drugs was everywhere around me. That ain't nothing, right? Like, it's the thought we have, not like, oh yeah, what is a yellow jacket, right? Like it ain't even the thing. Like, you already know what it is in 6th grade, but honoring that part of us and illuminating that truth. Illuminating that truth is what amplifies abundance, motherfucker.
There you go.
It couldn't have been no better.
It couldn't have. No, it could not have.
And so the mantra for illuminating the truth, because we always have to release the outcome in order for it to be successful. We can't want it to be successful, right? I am willing to see things clearly no matter the outcome.
Oof.
Is that? I am willing to see things clearly no matter the outcome. I am willing to see things clearly no matter the outcome.
I'm willing to see things clearly.
I needed this specific card tonight. I am willing to see things clearly no matter the outcome. I am willing to see things clearly no matter the outcome. So no matter the outcome of this podcast, we want it to be successful. We set the intent for it to be successful. We're going to choose. We're going to, make choices for it to be successful. We're going to honor people and give them safe space. And if it's not successful, that's okay too.
That is.
Because it ain't nothing but a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there'll be other things.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, we also understand that by illuminating truth, we amplify abundance. And it may not even be an abundance of money. It could be like an abundance of conversations, an abundance of moments shared, an abundance of connections made, an abundance of trauma healed. Things like that, Abundance is my birthright, and I receive it now.
Ooh. Abundance is my birthright, and I receive it now.
Abundance is my birthright, and I receive it now. Abundance is my birthright, and I receive it now. Abundance is my birthright, and I receive it now. Abundance is my birthright, and I receive it now.
Crabs in a bucket. There is abundance, my friends.
It's real.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got to honor that adversity for sure.
For real. And even just thinking, that this is it's really like first time I've sat down had a card reading like this, and to think that we're doing this on the podcast, and a lot of this is extremely applicable. Not only for myself right now, but I hope whoever decides to listen in and check it out. The variety of all this stuff. Maybe even so that you can even hear from me. Some podcasts you get 5 views, 10 listeners or whatever. Some you get 30, 40, 50, 100. It changes, and the abundance is there. You know what I mean? You just got to keep doing what you're doing. The adversity, that's what comes with it.
Right.
I've found myself to be comfortable with this shit sucks, and you just keep doing it. No matter how good it gets, it can always be better in my head.
Yeah.
And everything else, that's thank you, really thank you. There were not only kind words, but to know that they came extremely randomly is, well,
Right.
just chosen at random for me to hear at this very given and specific moment.
Yeah.
So
Divine
I
timing
appreciate it.
is a real thing.
I hope I can make it onto the podcast one day, and I hope you have me on episode 33. I feel like that's my angel number, so hopefully I get to make it on.
And 33 is it's a master number of completion. Uh, you want to know a fun fact about 33? It is all the geometric shapes put together gives the whatever the figure is called. I don't like a dodecahedron type name. That's not the one it is, but that's the type of name it is. If you put all the geometric shapes that are possible together, it creates the one that has 33 sides. And
Oh,
that's the number of all that is. So 30,
interesting. I never knew that.
yeah. So if 33 is a good number to choose. Like if you want to pick a number, 33 is the one.
Yes, that's the one. That's the one. If
All
I could ever
right.
request.
I need to write that down. I'm gonna find a pen, and and I'm ADHD, so text it to me too, okay? And then that way, because I can't find a pen right now because I'm excited. But definitely episode 33, it's yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything that you want before we sign out for the evening? I definitely do want to do a part 2 because this was fucking great. Yeah, and
Oh,
your
I'd
voice
love
is
to.
powerful. Your voice is powerful, and I want to say before I let you give like a closing statement, I want to say that I've always appreciated you being a good friend, not only to my family, to myself, the people around you, and I really believe that you started to kind of like hit that gear of being inside of your own purpose in life and serving your own while serving others. I feel is part of that purpose, and I see it in you, and I don't think that this is the end, right? I don't think you've reached your max form, but I think you are now in form, and it's cool to see, and it makes me happy to see, especially knowing Lumbee, hometown, all that shit. So please keep going, don't lose faith.
Thank you. That's so kind. That's so kind. Thank you. It feels good to be seen. So thank you for seeing me
Of course,
and honoring my adversity and
of course.
knowing what my life has consisted of just from me being around you guys. Like, you guys have let's be real, you guys have been an important part of my life in very specific and important areas. So thank you guys for being there as well. And
Always.
I absolutely want to come back. I love this shit. So if I have any closing remarks, higher self speak for me. What needs to be said? Oh, duh. the last card, which is the bottom of the deck, which is the overall energy of the reading. It's creating cooperation.
Creating cooperation.
Now, how perfect is this? How perfect is it that we have one more card that we've got to do with just one final message? Holy shit. I love this shit, man. More gets accomplished when everyone has a role to play.
Ooh.
So I guess that's probably the final message is actually no, let me read it. That's going to be even more powerful. Oh, this is going to be good, Punch. This is going to be good. I feel it. More gets accomplished when everyone has a role to play. When cooperation is created, the unity of all is accessed to accomplish more in one moment than any one person can do alone. As a creator of cooperation, you are giving others the right to contribute, which only broadens the effect of collective expansion.
Yes.
Once cooperation is created, all facades of competition melt away, allowing each individual to feel a renewed depth of self-worth by serving a vision greater than any degree of individual gain. This mantra is ideal for enhancing teamwork, transforming family dynamics, and increasing inner peace.
Nice.
So that right there was, I think the last thing to say is in this moment, that's exactly what we did. In this moment, we created such a cooperation. We've cooperated throughout our lives to get to this moment. Someone is going to see this who needed to hear something tonight, or maybe they'll see the second one and it's going to be an even more powerful message. Or, there's all these different things that can be created from this, and that has been created from the alignment that we decided. You never know where the energy that we brought tonight to your podcast has created a vortex of energy that's going to project outwards and upwards and going to live your best life through it. That's what that's what I'm predicting. You're going to live your best life through it.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy to see you grow.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being alive. That's what I tell a lot of people when we cheer. Thank you for being alive, dude. Like you bring a lot. You bring a lot to people, Kayla. And I can't wait to do this again. Yeah.
I can't wait either, Putz. I love you, honey.
Love you.
Now,
I'll be messaging you right now too after all this.
Okay, great. Perfect. Okay.
All right, I got you.
Thanks. Bye.